Do you guys remember that time when I said this was the final rendition of the power steering pump bracket? And this is our final rendition of the power steering bracket. Well, that didn't age great. This is the final rendition. We got an extra tang on this one, and we went ahead and picked ourselves up another idler pulley. Now we got a pair of them. But anyways, welcome back to the Lost Cause Ranch. We're back on the LS3 Defender, and we got one main thing we're gonna try and accomplish, and that is to see if this guy even fits down in that little hole, or has all this work mounting this 430 horsepower LS3 and designing our front drive and all that stuff been a waste. I sure hope it fits, because at the end of the day, it does need to have a steering gear. The whole thing's worthless without being able to turn it. But either way, last video, we got this behemoth out of that Discovery 1. It was quite greasy, so we went ahead and cleaned it up. Fingers crossed. I think we are in frickin' business. Look at that guy sitting in there. But I can stick my hand in between the belt drive and the steering gear, along with miles of room right there. And it looks like we should be able to shoot up along that frame rail into our steering column just fine. Plenty of room for a steering shaft. I was pretty confident it would all fit. We did some measuring along the way, but you just never know until it's actually in there. And with such a crucial piece this far along in the project, I was a touch worried in case something was off. That's a lot of time and money that would have been scrapped. Not only we have the front drive, the engine mounts, the transmission and transfer case mount, but we also have the entire stainless exhaust system mocked up off of that engine location. So if that steering gear right there wouldn't have fit, that would have put us in quite the predicament. As always, Joe plans order operations out wonderfully all the time. Let's do everything else first. Real reason for that though, the Risco Disco was just too much fun to tear down right away. We're gonna have a few last rides with it before we get that precious little steering gear out of there. And if you haven't been following along, the main reason why that's even a big deal is that this was a right-hand drive vehicle when we started. Now with the new bulkhead and all the works, we are converting it over to left-hand drive. Much more livable on this side of the pond. Now the moment of truth on the final rendition. And it's not gonna work. Oh man. It's the way it goes sometimes, I guess. As I once said, sometimes you lose. Well, a lot of times you lose. We'll be on our way back to Iowa from Ohio with this gem. She's a little soft in areas. But that's the way she goes. I mean, sometimes you lose. A lot of times you lose. But no, we have two problems with the location of the pulley. Get it to focus here. You might be able to see we are coming into contact with the water pump bolt head there, which is no bueno. And I also didn't space the pulley far enough down, so we're gonna have some interference issue with the big pulley and the little pulley, and we can't have that either. So back to the drawing board, or computer. We'll have to tweak that whole location. Not a huge deal, but then it'll be the final, truly the final bracket. Let's try this again. And I would say with all the renditions this required, I'd be getting better at drawing, but this is the latest plate that we have come up with, which I hope is actually the final version. And we also made our little pulley spacer up. And this is what just spit out of the printer. This is our new pulley location, our fancy little spacer reducer. That guy goes there, and this goes there. And everything is gonna work. 100% guaranteed. And there is the evolution of all my mess ups. You know what they say, 15th time is a charm. But I think we're finally there. Let's get this guy on. I mean, it just looks like it should work. Look at that guy sitting in there. That was the bolt head we were hitting before. Plenty of room. These two pulleys were touching. Not anymore. I will say I am super pleased with this front drive setup. We're nice and tucked in on the side over here. Miles of room around the steering gear. We're below the top of the intake manifold on both sides. AC compressor tucked in nice close to the block down below. Right there is what I envisioned going into this project. Let's see if we can figure out what to do for a belt. So normally I just take a piece of string, wrap it around the pulleys, and then we measure the string at length. But no string in here, so we use some 18 gauge wire. Pretty much the same thing. There's a lot of stuff to wrap around. This guy came out to about 87 1/4, so we'll go a touch shorter than that. Let's stop at the belt store. All right, we're back from the belt store, and this is what we came up with. This is an 86 5/8, maybe a touch long, but we shall see. We can always go shorter. Well, I just realized I screwed up on the pulley. I need a smooth one, not a grooved one. But we'll be able to test fit off this one and just get the same diameter. I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I just had too much going on in my head there. But yeah, if the back side of the belt is running on the pulley, it should always be smooth. If the front side is on, it should be grooved. So we'll get a smooth pulley in the same diameter there. Man, we were close. That, and we need a touch shorter belt. Probably go an inch or so shorter. Maybe a touch more. Hard to see, but we almost have 180 degrees of wrap on the crank pulley. Everything else looks tidy as well. Albeit a little loose. We clear that steering gear we were worried about just fine. We can pretty much call that a success. That is the final rendition. We'll call these teaching pieces. Along the way, I will say that 3D printer has been invaluable, if that's the right word. I don't even know if that's the right word. But it's been very, very useful on completing this front drive setup. We can send off, not these guys, but those guys, off to get machined out of aluminum, and the front drive saga is over. We'll get the right length belt and the correct smooth pulley on there before the next episode, but I will not bore you anymore with the accessory drive stuff. I feel like we've spent enough time on that. But we got that steering gear in place. We're closer than you think to firing up the LS3. I do need to get my hands on a TD5 left-hand drive dash setup. If any out there have that, let me know. I'd be interested. But with that being said, appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate you subscribing. We have a bunch more coming up on this Defender, obviously. But we're going to get back on the wiring shortly. I think that's a good place to go.